because the very fact that we're here means there is some valuable contribution that we can make, that there is purpose remaining in us. And that's how I want to start the morning, because if you are in that place of wondering, why am I here? Or even, why are certain things happening in my life? Uh, you being Jamaican would have no doubt being raised on a diet of some religious foundational principles. You may have heard, whether it is from your own parents or from grandparents or just in the community around you. I don't think there's a single community in Jamaica of whatever income level that is not within spitting distance of a church. So at some point, you would be hearing that there are promises from a divine creator concerning all his children in this realm. And you must be wondering, so where do I fit in? I certainly can recall my own early days of reading the Bible and getting a sense, having some sense of geography, and wondering if these chosen people excluded me, and if God was in the business of choosing people to give them priority attention. How on earth could He not choose people that look like me? I mean, I had that kind of confidence from early on, that if there was a tribe chosen to be the representative of God's favor, love, knowledge, attention to mankind, that surely I would be in it. So if, like me, you are asking those questions and wondering why, if there is a system that ranks people, how could I not be in the highest ranked group? And if you're not asking yourself that, you should ask yourself, why am I not asking myself that? Because you must begin by having your own intrinsic value, recognizing your own intrinsic value. You have to take stock of who you are, what you look like, the potential that is within you, and come to the conclusion by yourself, not based on what mommy said or daddy said or the neighbor said, but by yourself. You must come to a conclusion about yourself, that you are a person of value, of worth, of enormous potential. I don't find it hard to believe that Jamaicans generally feel that way. No matter where you land in this life, if there's a problem being analyzed and solutions being hunted, and you have a Jamaican in the mix, they're going to say, no, man, you can't do it this way. And no matter how technical the problem might be, how intellectual you might have to be in order to really study it, the average Jamaican from any walk of life gonna look at that situation and tell you, say, you could do it this way, even if it's rubbish. They have an idea, and they see themselves as having the capability to solve the issues of life. And as you study more and move amongst different kinds of people, you realize that it is so for the man in the yard or the man at the side of the road, and it is pretty much the same for the businessman who has had years of experience, the businessman who has studied, or the professional managers. And it is so for the politicians, for the doctors, for the lawyers. That is one of the things that I have noticed about Jamaicans. I speak to even my own mom, and I hope she's listening so I can say, good morning, mommy. I speak to my own mom, and if I'm discussing a legal issue, or it really don't matter what I am discussing, my mother has an opinion on how you can approach it. So if you grew up in recognizing those things about yourself and about the people around you, then it is right and fitting that you should be thinking, why am I here? And if I am here, if God has seen it fit to keep me here all these years of my life, what is my purpose? What is it that He felt that uniquely I can do? We want each person to approach the day with that mindset, and every situation that you find yourself getting into, whether it's a conversation or it's to do a task, and whether you're doing it by yourself or you're doing it with others, to see it as an opportunity to make a real contribution. And if someone asks you a question, how can I, or, you know, anyone seeking information and guidance from you, for you to be very intentional in giving them a truly useful response. You know, the person who come and say, I'm trying to, can I get this right? And you could easily say to them, um, well, you know, how far did you get? How did you get to wherever you are? But you choose to say to them instead, man, you have to go figure that out by yourself, you know. Or, boy, me usually have a problem with it too. And that's it. The two of you are stuck at that point. Instead of giving one of the stock responses that you could give just to get people away from you, step into the situation with enthusiasm and say, you know what, let's figure it out together. How far did you get? You may discover that that person, it didn't get as far as you did, so you can at least help them up to where you are. Or the both of you may have got to the same point, but their level of knowledge and your level of knowledge, when combined, can push you, both of you, forward. I'm starting in that place because as we acknowledge that the committee considering constitutional reform has achieved consensus on what for us was the starting point. All Jamaicans who have been tracking this issue have been grappling with the king or no king, because that the first point was it's time for us to be truly independent of the colonial ties that were the hallmark of our time of enslavement and oppression. It's just undignified to be talking about King's Council and God save the king. And sure, God can save the king, but not because we want him to be involved in our affairs. And he really isn't even in our affairs. Last week, I was commenting on attorney at law Maurice Tomlinson, making the point that the Privy Council, as the highest court of the land, has proved inaccessible, unaffordable to the average person. And he's not the average person. He's a lawyer who could prepare the docket. He can save himself quite a bit of the expense involved in mounting a case before the Privy Council. So he's not the average lawyer. Yet he found it challenging and had to give up his right of appeal. Do you know what it feels like to believe that there may be some justice for you down the corner, but you can't afford to get there? Now, whatever you may think about the justice he's pursuing, justice is blind. Justice not having any feelings about whether the issues concerning publication of material supporting the rights of a particular community, whether that is morally appealing or not, because justice is very much concerned about process. Yes, we speak a lot about not allowing form to overtake substance, but justice has a great deal invested in maintaining form. So for a court to be meaningful, it must be accessible and affordable. If not, there is no justice. So at least every person who has to put down the flag or lay down arms because they simply can't afford to go farther with an issue has been denied justice. And it don't matter where you think it was going to go. Each individual is fully entitled to take the fight as far as the road permits. The road in Jamaican case permits a resort to the Privy Council. And we see all kinds of people going to the Privy Council and coming back with their results. I mean, I can even think of the case with YP Seaton that ran for so many years. And in the end, the place which gave him the return of his money was the same Privy Council. He could afford to do that. And this is where man will lose his dignity when you cannot do something because you can't afford it. You know, in situations when it pertains to health, we can see that very easily. There's a medical crisis, a child needs a procedure which the parents cannot afford, an appeal is made. You see that happening all the time. And I'm sure for each person who makes a contribution or who can't afford to make a contribution, you come face to face with the stark reality that if that were my child, I could not afford to put them on a plane, keep them in a hospital overseas for however many weeks. That beautiful young lady who has returned from getting treatment for the severe burns that she endured in the house fire. She would not be were it not for the resources being made available to get her the help that she needed. And you know, you have to thank God every time you see something happen, something of that magnitude, and you know within yourself that if it happened to me or mine, I couldn't afford it. Many persons have died because they could not afford the resources to get the kind of help they needed. Last week, we were talking about the absence of MRI machines in our public health system. One caller was explaining to me how long it took for him to just have a scan done. Now, the scan is not therapeutic, you know, it is only diagnostic. It's not going to reduce the pain that you're feeling. Yet, before you can get the right treatment, you must wait. I think he said he waited 3 months to get a schedule, and he was seeking to pay. He wasn't trying to hide from paying, but just to be on the schedule because the resources are so limited. So it's a very, very real issue, or having the ability to access these things which are a part of our birthright. When the committee reports, or the report coming out of the committee, because I don't even know if that was the committee's report, the report coming out of the committee that they've enjoyed great consensus on this one fundamental point, that we will see the end of the monarchy. I pray that whatever it is they're doing, it would boost our confidence and in even their own work greatly if what they did was to find a way to get to that decision-making point early o'clock, get that out of the way, so that even when we are sitting to define the fullness of the Constitution, we're doing it as a republic. Because, you know, everything starts small. And as the producer is determined for me to say, not a banana republic, though he eats a lot of bananas, so I'm not sure why you like ripe bananas. Right. They don't have to. Good morning, Pastor Percival. I'm getting an angelic smile from the corner, because those who are watching us online would have seen that Percy is not beside me. And those who are listening have not heard his voice yet. Come on in, Percy. Just don't make a lot of noise. You know, you're welcome here. I should be saying, ladies and gentlemen, Percival Palmer. Yes, Percy is here. The other half of what makes this show work. Ready to say morning? Yeah, listen, man, I heard the news of, and we should say, as you are getting set up, Percy, I'm just going to break my flow to express condolences to the people of Jamaica and the friends and family of, which one is it? I just called it Bello and Blacker, so no, yeah, who was also a man of faith and had his own, Bell, yeah, but, you know, there have been some famous duos in, I guess, pop culture history. And I know, like you have, now they're famous and the names escape. Is it Michigan and Smiley? Mm-hmm. Sly and Robbie?
Yes, right.
Bello and Blacker?
Yeah, Bello and Blacker. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I remember there was the duo that does film reviews in America. They give you the thumbs up. Something. It's good that I forget the American ones. I need to know my Jamaican stories better than I know American stories. But yeah, the loss of this great artistic talent, even though I believe the church had claimed him. So arts and culture had lost him already, because once the Spirit of God, once the Spirit of God claim you, before he became a comedian. Yes, so I was saying that the producer is, why you don't just get on the microphone so I don't have to repeat what you're saying? Way over there. Oh, okay, well then stop speaking to me so distractingly. All right, so I'll keep my mouth shut. No, don't do it distractingly. There he is, masterful thespian, caring clergyman. Yeah, Winston. So, of course, when the saints go home, heaven
We're
rejoice.
marching in.
Yeah, well, heaven rejoice. So, we don't mourn as those who have no hope, but we know that the loss of a loved one has its own pain.
Okay.
Though yesterday, Pastor Lowell preached.
Mm-hmm.
And amongst the things he said that certainly caught my attention, he spoke about the loss of his mom.
Okay.
That when his mom passed away, there was the sadness, but there was what did you say, Lowell?
Let
me speak to you distractingly.
the joy of knowing that she had run a wonderful race and she had a beautiful legacy in the children that she taught.
Thank you for visiting the service.
No, but I know.
You're anticipating?
No, I'm just telling you based on the impressions he shared with me about his mom and who she was and what she did. And so I was at a funeral on 2 funerals back to back, one Thursday, one Friday, at church. Mm-hmm. One was a young man who was 21, and the church was, it was in the news.
Been very sad.
No, sir.
Oh, they were joyful?
We were happy because of his impact. He was 21, but he was a full-time student at UA, and he had a full-time job. And
whoa.
And
I wasn't really 21. That sounded like he was 91.
Yes. That's Kareem Medley. He was a part of our youth fellowship for many years, and so the youth.
What do you mean many years when he was 21? Are you sure he was 21?
Yes, man.
He was 91.
Many years, because he came when he was about 13, 14. So many years. He died when he was 21.
That's still not even
17
many,
years. But I think of many. Anything past 5 is many years, because you don't see. But he was a very integral part and a caring person, and it came out in the different tributes that came. One of his friends who is overseas on scholarship, he was just sharing, he was crying. He said, boy, that man would look out for him, just check up on him. And a lot of the young people who are part of a youth fellowship, or no, young adults, were just sharing about it. And the day before, Naila, 7-year-old, we did the funeral for her too. She died of cancer. We hosted it, and it went. She had cancer, but you never knew in terms of the impact she had on our family.
7 years old.
Yes, so 7 and 21. But it was thing, right? And then Friday again we have another funeral. But it's that time.
I have a confession to make. I'm only looking. That's not a confession. That's just an obvious reality.
That's a statement.
Obvious reality.
Oh my.
No, I started off speaking this morning, and I was looking at what it means in a nation for people to find it difficult to access to justice, medical care, so on. But listen, and I was still thinking about Mr. Tomlinson from last week. But these are things on our mind. I'm looking at the Sunday Gleaner, and I'm seeing pensioner unable to do surgery because of 10-year dispute with Scotiabank over multi-million-dollar account. Now, I was talking about poor people and not ones who have multi-million-dollar accounts, but just the inability to achieve these things. And another headline was, I sat there with my dead baby in my hand. There are some things happening. This is a story now, Black River Hospital. There are some things happening across the country, greatly, greatly affecting people's enjoyment of certain basic rights.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to get involved. We have to get involved and treat it as matters of great importance. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, was speaking about a near relation of mine whose child died within hours of birth at a hospital in Portland.
Yes,
It's
you're
Portland?
talking
Yes.
about that, yeah.
And I mean, before the body was cold, she was being given papers to sign to permit the hospital to, dispose of the remains of the child, and offering absolutely no word on why the child died. I have since discovered that the policy in some of our hospitals, the hospitals that serve poor people, the policy, I don't know why I say poor people,
That
the
serve
hospitals that
Jamaicans.
serve Jamaicans,
Yes.
the policy is not to inquire into the cause of death for newborns. If you want to know why your child died, you need to do a private postmortem at your expense.
Mm-hmm.
And these things are just shocking to me that we don't, as a routine,
System of justice.
show. Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah. It is a travesty of justice. It's an injustice to treat the concerns of citizens.
Why did my child die?
Me must know. Oh, me must know.
And then
Meaning
it is too
the medical details of it. You know that, okay, so we are spiritual people who understand that life and death is in the hand of God. So we know that if whatever the natural causes however they might manifest, ultimately your child could survive if God so ordained it.
Mhm.
So we know that ultimately. But understanding in the natural realm why
Mhm.
is a very important part of our being able to solve problems and to be our brother's keeper. When we discovered from the report on the condition of the hospitals, was it Pa who did the report after the many
Oh
dead
yes, I
babies?
mean
We discovered that it's because the hospital dirty.
no,
Basically.
you said the hospital is dirty. The hospital dirty. Jamaicans would say unfortunate.
Unclean.
But, yes, and
Unclean.
then you hear now we're gonna start cleaning it up. But those are basic things. Care because clean is the great gateway to go to healthcare because we took it for granted that they say wash your hands and so remember wash your hands came back with COVID.
COVID. Yes, yes.
Which was a basic thing.
Yeah, COVID was all about a return to basic good hygiene.
Yeah. So
Don't cough on people. Maintain some social distance so you're not spitting all over people as you speak.
Yes,
That's just basic hygiene.
And see it not being practiced. Because if you go into a lot of the hospitals and because of some of the things I do, you have to some of the times take people to the public hospital or go and visit people there when you see it going, okay.
Now listen to the reason why this child, what had transpired with this child, a young woman and her baby, 29 years old, her second child. She had baby, was discharged from the hospital. It was on the weekend, so she was not seen. The baby was not seen by a doctor, a pediatric doctor. So really, while the baby didn't die in the care of the hospital, she went home with the baby, and she is wondering, would her baby have been alive today if the rule that was implemented after she was discharged, because after they realized babies live here not having been seen by a doctor, we don't know if the baby was okay. Which tells you too that though midwifery is an excellent trade, and God bless those who are there to be of assistance to the women in their time of need, but pediatrics has value.
Okay.
And once the child is out in the world and can be seen by a doctor who is trained to recognize what's going on with these newborns, then that is a necessity before you send the women home with the babies.
Because there's some checks you do. Because I remember it well, birth of Daniel. I was there for all of them. They have Coconut Edo, but
The
Abgar,
Apgar.
yes,
Apgar, yeah.
check up,
Yeah.
quick check to
Yeah.
see that those things are.
So it's not to say that the child would have necessarily survived, but at least you would have done the right things, and this is where the call for justice comes in, and the call for a more righteous relationship between citizens and between citizens and state agencies to do right by each other, making sure that the newborn was examined by the right trained person is critical. Well, now they're doing it, but a mother is left asking, would it be so if they had done it earlier? It's time for our 7 o'clock break. I see some signs from across the way. All right, we'll be right back.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce is moving forward with measures to make it easier for small-scale cannabis growers to enter the formal industry. We have the details coming up. I am Jermalee Nelson. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Albin Hill, says steps are being taken to make doing business within the medicinal cannabis industry easier. Under the International Narcotic Control Board, INCB, the government will seek to ensure that the Jamaican market can produce all the medicinal cannabis products that the country needs. This, the minister says, will eliminate the need for the country to import any cannabis for medicinal purposes.
We will continue, of course, to keep in line with our treaty obligations. We're going to tighten the arrangements we have. One of the things we have to do is to make sure Staten work with us to arrive at what the market size is, because that's a very important feature of the INCB which we're working to make sure we stay in line.
Minister Hill was speaking during a press conference at Jamaica House recently. He notes that discussions are currently underway to develop a strategy to treat with traditional and small-scale cannabis growers and legalize their operations. This will include a look at some of the fees charged by the Cannabis Licensing Authority, the CLA. The aim is to incentivize more persons to join the industry.
It doesn't make sense right now when people don't have the cash flow to buy the basic stuff, to even hire people, that we're going to say, okay, pay another $3,000, the Jamaican dollar, as our official currency. So we want to change that too. Right now, for the first 2 years, while you're planting and trying to get some money together and grow your 5 plants or how many plants you're going to grow, we're not going to charge any fees for that. Those things we're looking at and making sure the government can switch around what now is a disincentive into removing it and making it much easier for people to come in.
Senator Hill noted, however, that the matter must first go to Cabinet for deliberation and consideration.
It's a position that I'm going to take, and that should probably last for a period of 5 years. What do I mean? That rule should be in for 5 years, but when you come in, whether you come in day 1 or the last day of the 5th year, you will get a 2-year period over which you get a chance to build your business without these fees. So those are some of the places that we're going.
Meanwhile, under the CLA's Alternative Development Program, steps are also being taken to prevent and eliminate the illicit cultivation of ganja and channel the process through legal streams.
We've done a rough pilot before. We've learned some things from it, but we're going back to Cabinet to have about 16 communities involved, including about 128 farmers. These are small scale and traditional farmers. We're looking at the communities cultivating up to 10 acres now.
Minister Hill also addressed the issue of exporting medicinal cannabis to other countries, adding that the ministry is exploring the possibility of more trade missions to open up new markets for the local cannabis industry.
We can't sit here and wait for markets to come. Germany has just changed its rule. It's time maybe for us to go and look, but I don't want to go and look alone. I want to make sure people are in the business. If we're going, come with me and say, yes, this is what we're looking at, and they learn from it and bring it back to us. So we'll have to go and find markets for our product. But also we have to make arrangements in Jamaica. Within the law, how do we make our market space in Jamaica more accommodating and more able for people to do a business?
Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Aubin Hill. And that's where we wrap this feature. Thank you for listening. I am Jermalee Nelson.
At MOJ, Ministry of Justice, sex quality service to keep order within the nation. We facilitate good relation. Legal aid in your pocket. I lick the East Child Diversion for you to need expertise. Victim service, we help you cope with grief. Restorative justice, build back the peace. No matter where you come from, I will say justice for all Jamaicans. MOJ, Ministry of Justice. Come, sex quality service.
MOJ, taking justice to the people of Jamaica.
A production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
Yes, indeed, it's redemption time with Apostle Clyde Campbell, presenting a life-changing, life-challenging message to encourage, inspire, and motivate you towards your destiny. Every Tuesday night from 9:30 p.m. until 12:30 a.m. and on Saturday from 9 o'clock until 10, right here on Best 100 FM. It's redemption time.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-Time Taxi Service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
From anywhere at all, you can call us at 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
Veteran Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Haggard Park Road. Veteran Printers, your best choice in printing.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-382-528 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-Time Taxi Service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
From anywhere at all, you can call us at 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. God is good. This is already pastor and friend, Reverend Simon Peter Jones, inviting you, my friends, to listen every Tuesday evening on Best 100 FM at 7:30 p.m. for the program, The Voice of Hope, as we extend hope to the hopeless in this dying world. God is good. Be encouraged. Hope is in the Lord.
Half a tree, one and drive. Bossy, how you do I take taxi start?
Chano, I want to tell you, say, 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
Yeah, hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. You hear me? Call them at 929-7040. Or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me, send you.
You big star. Yeah, man. Respect my boss.
Try and call him, guys. Trust me.
Ah, what a relief.
Having trouble getting parts for your Mazda? Jam Auto Parts is your solution. Jam at the new and convenient location of Upper Park Road at 9 Kingswood Avenue. Jam Auto Parts, with over 25 years experience, providing all Mazda parts, new and used. Call 923-4389 and 461-1786. Jam Auto Parts, serving your Mazda needs.
Best 100 FM presents the Mature and Moving Up show, Lascelles Butch Chen, on Thursdays from 6 to 9 p.m. Welcome to this pioneering radio program on our continuing work in our maturing years, compellingly defined to educate and liberate the younger generation. Tune in and welcome.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Good morning. We were just referring to the justice issues, and in coming now, I told you why I do apologize to the persons for joining you late this morning, but we had to do some business.
No apologies required, especially when you told me the business you were doing.
Yes.
Him and the Holy Spirit. You are never late, my brother. This is your assignment. It starts when you're here.
Okay.
How is that?
But we were just looking at the whole justice with what's happening in the hospitals on the weekend. But what we see happening, this is my own personal take on it. A lot of the things that we see happening in health and in other areas of our economy, the root of it is justice. If you think that, why would we not be utilizing the resources that we have in the right way so that there are not really two Jamaicas in terms of what happens in too many areas of our society? The lady complaining, yesterday's paper, the guy was saying, heartless, what's happening? The lady at Black River. And then the grand announcement that came out of the Constitutional Reform Committee. We have agreed at Republic. I thought we're way past that. And I'm saying,
no, but you have to look behind it now. It's not so much the consensus. It's all the comments that were made about how they're working together. Because remember, Jamaicans came out in almost one voice that too many lawyers are on the team. The co-chair of the team is under great pressure, and I really think he should resign.
I mean, Mr. Albert, who says that?
Yes.
And that's the editorial.
He cannot want the job so much that he would stay there against vocal opposition to something which he may well think is irrelevant. That he is pro this or pro that, he may think it's irrelevant. But you can't want to serve a hostile or an unwilling
And the gleaner
audience.
And the gleaner needs to be very, very careful in terms of their editorial, because they make an
Why do they need to be careful? It's their editorial.
Yeah, but they need to be.
And they are the cleaner.
The Jamaica umbrella group of churches.
Yes.
Is not mainly Pentecostal or other fundamentalists.
The recent addition to the group.
Yeah, the Jamaica umbrella group of churches.
No, not that. I mean, a representative of the Jamaica umbrella group has been added to the committee.
Yeah, because...
And now you're speaking to who they really are.
Yeah, because the umbrella group of churches consists of Evangelical Alliance, JCC, Adventist.
This is the Jamaica
Council of Churches.
Because that could be Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, true enough. But the Jamaica JCC is the mainline churches, which is the Baptist, the Methodist.
We're calling them mainline when we really mean they are the traditional ones,
churches,
the old ones, the first ones here. Oh, because that don't make them mainline.
Not anymore, because the Adventists, right? Yes. The evangelical churches, the newer churches, which would be the Pentecostal. So it's a broad-based grouping of all churches in Jamaica.
How has the editorial misled persons?
Because it's a certain line, and I've watched it with the Gleaner. Was one of them. He says, with the appointment of Dr. McCarthy, the president of the Jamaica umbrella group of churches, whose members are mainly Pentecostal and other fundamentalists. So that means Jamaica Council of Churches, which consists of, like the Anglican Church. I remember last week, Thursday, we were referring to the fact that the bishop for the Caribbean, remember you wanted, not the West Indies, the Caribbean, came out and says, hold on, no. What the government and what people are doing in terms of attacking the Integrity Commission is wrong, and his call was for Christians across the spectrum to say no and to get rid of the party politics and go after the principle. Why do we have an Integrity Commission, and why is it that they're important? Because corruption is a major concern for every single Jamaican, along with crime and violence. That's there. And then now, he goes further to say, which I know Dr. Bailey, who is from the Jamaica Evangelical Alliance and Cause, the anti-foreigner bigotry was echoed by Philippa Davis. Those are very emotive words, you know.
It is the editorial.
It's the editorial.
Yes. It's the editor's commentary.
Yeah.
And the words are oftentimes emotive, sometimes misplaced emotion, but that's the nature of the editorial.
Yes.
You don't agree with the sentiments expressed. We're going to go through it. I want to do justice to young Miss Akira.
The baby.
The baby, yes, because...
baby Akira, because she was.
Yeah, she existed, yeah. So, to give a fair representation of what transpired, we certainly applaud the Black River Hospital for making a change in their procedure
and policy,
which could well prevent the recurrence of a situation like this, or at the very least would satisfy persons receiving care at that hospital that they are giving you the best attention that they can. This young mother was discharged from the hospital with her newborn. Before her discharge, she noticed that the baby had some issues breathing. A doctor looked at the child, recommended a nose drop, which she was unable to purchase because she was leaving the hospital on a Sunday, and it being, I guess, Black River and the hospital, no pharmacy was open. So care was recommended that she couldn't get the pharmacy. Now, there is a world in which pharmacies in a hospital are not privately owned. As long as the hospital is open, pharmacological supplies are available for the needs of patients in the hospital. You don't have to go outside and go around to the pharmacy at the back. I have noticed a trend in how we set up things. I don't know whether it's because we are constantly trying to give opportunities, commercial opportunities to friends and family, or what. But I have noticed we are outsourcing some critical components of service that make no sense. You cannot be in a hospital. Medicine is required for a newborn, but the mother need to go and get it at a pharmacy. And it's the same thing Fortis, it's the same kind of problem that Fortis was referring to with the MRI services. You're in a hospital, you need a diagnostic tool, but it is only available through a private service. Minister Tufton, as popular as you are, and no doubt with every kind of ambition, we have to do better by our people. No doctor should say, get this for your newborn, but you need to go find a pharmacy that is open.
But to my own mind,
yes.
having every public hospital,
yes,
there's a pharmacy there. Whether it is stocked or not is another question. Yeah. So that is the real challenge. And I think with the National Health Fund, which was created years ago, a lot of our
but then you hear that this not available. I mean, I've heard the stories with
with some of the drugs.
And again, it's from overtaking substance because, as you say, everyone have a pharmacy, but whether it is stocked or not,
or the drugs are available.
So that was the first challenge for this young mother. The doctor looked at the child, saw that something was needed, did a prescription or recommended something which she couldn't get because the place wasn't open. Anyway, so she took home the baby, and in short order, she was back at the hospital. So the baby did not die at home. The baby died in the hospital, receiving care. So the baby developed the same breathing difficulties or similar breathing difficulties whilst at home. And she rushed back to the emergency care at the hospital. The baby was taken from her. And here comes another part of the experience that is troubling. They're gone with the baby and she's outside. She said, everybody who come out, she said, we're going with my baby. No lack of communication. And she's excluded from whatever is happening with the baby. By the time she gets to see the child is not breathing. It's lying on a bed and people are milling around. And she asked a question, how long? She stopped breathing and nobody could tell her. See? And then the hospital is saying, well, the baby didn't see a pediatrician, nor was she examined by a nurse before being discharged at birth.
So was it but didn't that doctor?
But not a pediatrician.
Yeah, but
so there was a doctor and a midwife team that examined the baby. So they do have, she said, on discharge, the baby was reviewed by a midwife and team on the maternity ward, and vital signs were normal. And they have their documents to show. But the mother is explaining that a doctor did see the baby. She said she called a doctor while in the hospital. She called a doctor and said, Doc, I don't like how my baby sound. He came, he put his ears over the baby's nose, and he turned to me and said, I can get a nose drop at the pharmacy. And he discharged me, she said.
The pharmacy.
But she did not get to buy the nose drop because there was no pharmacy open on Sunday.
Okay. So the pharmacy that is, because that's why I know.
There's usually a pharmacy at hospitals. I know that because it's a great business opportunity.
But
some of them I see are not, they're commercial. The pharmacy, the one you're talking about, government pharmacy.
Drug service in most hospitals,
Yeah. Anyway, in the aftermath of the baby's death, a policy change was introduced at the hospital where babies have to be seen by a pediatrician before the actual discharge. And it makes sense. It does make sense
but
that
it
you
make
do
sense,
that.
because with the recent things you now have on your government establishment, all these positions, so you should have sufficient doctors to go around. You think? I think so.
Yeah.
It's
tragic.
It's kind of tragic.
Yeah.
Very, very tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, when these will people get out?
But there's something we do. We need to look at with greater um, detail, in greater details, because this cry for justice starts very early on. And I noticed that it is linked with the value we place on ourselves and on our children.
On human life.
On human life. I noticed that. And this morning, Percy, I was saying that individuals ought to do some reflection, look at yourself and just do evaluation of your own self. Recognize the potential that is within you, and you place yourself in the high value which you deserve. Really see yourself as being amongst God's chosen people, special people, made for purpose.
And that's a shift in mindset.
Yeah, don't be deterred. Don't consider that others might not count you for much. Just know that there is something that only you can do, and you must show yourself willing to do it. And then let the thing take shape from there. This lady with her baby, she said, even the thought that they would just leave the baby on the bed, and when she come back to the hospital, it had already become something to be disposed of.
What?
Well, I told you what happened with my near relation.
No, but they're going to have to do it. So they can't
Yeah.
dispose of the body because they have to do a proper autopsy. In terms
She will be doing that at her expense.
I don't think so.
Wow. The chief executive officer of it becomes kind of the mother's evidence is she took the baby there alive and struggling. Given that the child, in the story it says, given that the child was only pronounced dead at the hospital, protocol required the police to be informed for them to rule out any foul play through a post-mortem, after which the family would be allowed to take the body.
It's been going on for weeks.
And they say congenital pneumonia is listed as the cause of death.
Well, that's February 27th. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
and it just making it. Okay.
Yeah.
That was a recent thing.
Oh.
February 27th.
Yeah. Well, it's recent to the mother, it feel like yesterday. Wow. And then now,
money for life.
yes, to what we were I tell you this, I did not read the story before I opened my comments, because I was also talking about citizens being able to afford to pursue justice in the courts.
It was done in Kingston.
The postmortem?
Yes.
Yeah. So the mother is struggling to accept what seems to be the medical report that the child had an infection at birth. She says nobody told her about any infection and nobody treated her for an infection. So why is that in my docket? So clearly, more information is needed, and for her to pursue it to the full extent, she would need now persons representing her interests. So either she needs money to do it, or there should be available through non-profit organizations that understand that these issues have to